Okay, that's going and starting the event.
Perfect. Think.
Okay, so notifications have gone out. We'll see what's up. So yeah, you were saying, Ash?
No, just good morning to all. Deep in the news feed, so I'm excited to have a couple of this chat. I want to hear your guys' view on a couple of the things that are going on. So, no, excited to get this across. I know our intention, I think, for these spaces on an ongoing basis on Tuesdays is to high level talk about some of the market news, crypto news, NFT news, all of those things. For those that are in the audience or just joining, please feel free. Request to speak. This is a discussion. This is a forum. All views welcome. If you are more nonverbal, please don't hesitate to park some thoughts, send us a message, and Tilly, Billy, and Final Sights are both fantastic and can comment or pose your questions. So, yeah, perfect. Warren, I'll let you get started.
Yeah, that's if you are nonverbal, that's what event chat is for. I know a lot of people have been just kind of parking GMs and stuff in there, but if you want to chat about what's going on in the stages slash any of our Twitter spaces that happen, we have quite a few this week. Just kind of park it in there. Otherwise, a very good and warm GM to y'all.
God, yeah, hey guys, sorry about that. I was having some audio issues. Yeah, welcome back to our usual space that we're going to be doing every Tuesday, I believe it is. It's set in for Tuesday now.
Yeah, it's set for Tuesdays. That's how we're going, unless we
Yeah,
have some other scheduling conflicts. But today's gonna be a pretty quick one, I think. We have one big chunk of surprising news is that the White House actually put out comprehensive framework for digital assets, which is people have been a very on the side of it. It's is the government in the U.S. going to say anything about the regulation of this? Because it's been very much so guess and see. You're not really sure what's technically legit and what's technically not. But this is it's the statements that they put out. It's not exactly iron bound. This is the law and all that. It's more so it's this is how we see things, and we're going to be spending some assets towards making this more clear for people. Is what it's looking like. But we're gonna get more
it
into
seems pretty. It seems pretty interpretive from what I've been reading. Obviously, the main news cycle in the UK is still all about the Queen. So I've only really been looking through scraps and bits and bobs, but it seems more like a nod of the head of yeah, SEC can go ahead, regulators can go ahead. Let's start working out how we're going to deal with this. It seems more like a consensus of yes, we are going to step in, than it is a actual framework yet.
Yeah.
For most of you, I dumped an article just in the event chat. Look, my view. I mean, a major component of our team has worked with the SEC and been in the regulatory markets for over a decade. I got to be honest. My interpretation. I mean, the U.S. has been talking about this. The SEC has been talking about digital assets for a long time. So it's not. It doesn't look like a rigid framework, but I will say I do see them really cracking down, and I think U.S. has enough global dominant power to try and influence other countries. I mean, that was some of the best parts about crypto, like when Singapore, when China, just when different countries would ban crypto mining or put some stakes in the ground with crypto. A lot of people maybe not laughed in the face of that, but just going, well, you can't stop it. It's a global operation. Another country can still continue. I mean, the U.S.
Yeah, it's a bit too late, isn't it?
Leader. Well, yeah, and the U.S. I think is just trying to be a leader in this, and hearing some of the concerns for fraudulent behavior, money laundering, all of these things, and so applying a bit of risk frameworks, or at least putting a stake in the ground or a line in the sand, whatever analogy you want to use, to try and kind of ward off some bad actors and bad scammers. I think from just causing them to, I think, twice right now. I'm in a bit of support of this. I think it's going to shake the whole system. But if there was any country to kind of be the figurehead, the leader of something like that, I think it's the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult not to be for this one specifically, because it is just so loose. It really depends on where they take this this intent to go forward with, because currently like I was saying, it's a bit up in the air about how they're going to handle it. obviously one of the key takeaways was there's like the go ahead for the SEC and the CFTC to start like really pursuing these issues that we've already seen cropping up. Like there were those two lads who got pulled for doing running a rug pull and then immediately starting another rug pull, and they were hounded down. I don't think I kept up to date with that story. I'll see if I can find it and drop it in the chat.
Yeah, like I'd love to get your two opinions on this, because like one of the like fact points that was mentioned in there, it said like something like 25% of like these currencies in existence are like fraudulent in one way or another, right? But to the point is that's not really a super accurate thing, because we don't know exactly how they're counting them. Are they counting it like by coin as in chains, or are they counting it like how many quote unquote coins are issued like in total? Because isn't entirely fair there, because we know that almost every single day there is like some new meme coin that's made.
Yeah, it's quite difficult. If I had to guess, they've probably just taken like a sample size and then of like 1,000 or something like that, and then gone, well, there's roughly this many in there, so we can say that like there's this or that, and they've got like statistical significances. But Flynn dropping a comment into the chat there. I'm just going to shorten the name, Flynn Christina. Like yeah, a lot of these stats tend to be outdated. So something that I notice in like my university practices is, in order to get really like properly reliable data, it has to be peer reviewed a couple of times. So you tend to go back like a year just to be safe. So part of my like when I'm writing essays is I've got to make sure that the data I'm using is valid, which means stuff has to be like checked through by independent sources. So sometimes it's outdated. Obviously, it seems like they're like yonks in the background compared to us because of how fast the crypto space moves. And that's probably something that now that they've been given the go ahead, they're going to start keeping their own stats. So they're going to be able to be a little bit more up to date. But that, you're right, that is definitely something to raise a little bit of a red flag in terms of them giving any sort of like market indicators or anything like that.
Yeah.
I doubt 3 trillion is still accurate. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I love that, Christina. It's such a good point when they're pulling such old data. It's like there's really nothing else new that you would have been able to pull to support your agenda here. My question to you both, I mean, a lot of this is broad, right? Like this is obviously regulatory, frameworks and concerns that I think apply to both crypto and NFTs, and they're related, but they are different as far as markets. I'm really interested to see, because there's a big component of this where I think this is so necessary for our space. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but in order to get this next wave, next generation of investors, there does need to be some aspect of regulation and oversight. I'm not saying who, and it doesn't need to be the U.S. government or the SEC, but we're not able to perfectly regulate and police ourselves, and there's a lot of bad actors and shitty people out there looking for the rug pulls, looking to take advantage of those that are still learning the space. And so I think this is a necessary step in order for this to be the asset class we want this to be over the next decade. And I'm really interested to see how this applies to some NFT projects, because I think there's a number of groups that either don't think that they meet the threshold of SEC concerns, they're too small, they're not going to be on anybody's radar. And our lawyers and legal teams, I mean, they've already said that the SEC has already identified NFT projects. It's just because they haven't maybe been prosecuted to date doesn't mean that they're not on the radar for soliciting capital the wrong way, doing the rug pulls. Thank you, Tilly Billy, for posting that. I think they are trying to make an example out of some groups. So I'm just interested to see how this NFT collectibles market going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, another one of my big questions about this is I'm not going to be asking about the future here. I'm asking about what's already happened, because like we've been like in this space and watching all around, and also in a ton of other spaces talking with like developers in here, right? So by your opinion, do you think up until this point, before this whole White House announcement happened, do you think that developers and builders have been functioning more in a form of fear that, hey, we shouldn't do these things because there might be regulation coming in later and there's eyes on us? Or are people more of the mindset of, well, there's no rules, we're just going to do what we want if it's not
I think
clearly
you've got
explicitly breaking
The
them?
latter, for sure. The latter. Sorry, go Tilly. Go.
yeah, you've got both, but you've got two groups there. You've got like the major like established businesses like Starbucks and Nike, who, if you notice, just before this came out, they have started like to move in there. So most likely they've been keeping a very close eye on like regulation in the space, and they knew the sort of thing that was going to be said, so they knew it was safe to join the space.
I'm getting it from both sides because Ashley's on like one more to safer side, and you're coming in more like the other one. Like, what do we honestly believe is 51% here?
51% here is just let's like everyone gung ho, like absolute like caution to the wind, get in, do as much as you can, establish yourself, and then they can never get rid of you. Like I'm with Ash. I think people have just like taken caution to the wind and like fully sent it. But I think the people who are waiting to get into the space, the really big players, like large scale corporations, they've been waiting for something like this to like legitimize the space, because it brings down the what's the word I'm looking for? The volatility. It brings down the volatility because if something goes really wrong, there's somewhere you can go. But that is also the thing that we've been trying to escape. The whole like the big looming scary of centralized governments.
Yeah. And I'll pose this. I mean, anyone else listening and feels like they want to contribute to this conversation, we'd love your thoughts. Yeah, I'll still double down kind of on my thoughts. I think there's still a mix. I think the players building and doing projects and anything in the NFT space today aren't the same ones that were here 7 months ago. I mean, you could literally throw a dart. There was a project being announced or dropping every single day for a while, and really you just needed a unique marketing message, or just something slightly differentiated for your project, and you were fine because you were riding this NFT tidal wave. I'd say now, I think anybody that's coming into the space, or at least starting, I think, and hopefully there's a level of scrutiny. They know they're dealing with some skepticism from holders, like everyone on this call. Like everybody is a little bit more cautious on like, okay, well, what the hell am I buying? Who's the team? What's their business model? Is it sustainable? And knowing that regulation is looming, I got to be honest, anyone that is trying to build right now with some sort of a token that does anything more than just, being an art holder, if you're trying to add in different levels of real world utility, yield from it, just anything, if you are not thinking about regulation coming and planning that into your business model, you might not know when, but you're only going to be able to play in this gray area for so much longer. So just nodding that anyone getting caught flat-footed, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're doing your holders a disservice by not thinking through this.
What about personal preference though? Let's say like regardless of this whole White House announcement, right? Is like, do you prefer it that your boundaries are clearly defined, or would you rather they be more gray on anything?
I mean, like I'm a student, so I'm all for a bit of anarchy, but that is also just because like I'm around all those sort of people all the time. So you sort of believe in it, but when this sort of play comes in at the margins, where you have like people who have genuinely been really badly caught out, and the people who are doing some genuinely reprehensible things in the space, and we do sort of need. Maybe not even like I would even disagree that we need a centralized body, but we need a big bad that can come in and like tell off the people who are doing this sort of stuff in some way or another. And if that's nations coming in and going after these companies in terms of legal departments, and like I'm not sure how the whole system works out in the States, but I know you have like district attorneys and all this sort of stuff.
I've been in the market. It depends on how you're prosecuted. No, it can go to legal cases. I don't know if anybody's following even the SEC court case with XRP/Ripple. I'm a big follower of that. So you can even see, if you ever really want to learn about that, just how documents are shared, public records are shared. That's a really fascinating case, and they've now moved to settlement, but you can see how the SEC has struggled to regulate a coin offering in the past, especially one that's trying to work with the banks. You can tell I'm an XRP holder. Such a big advocate for it, but that one's at least like a life lesson in just how the SEC has struggled without some levels of this regulatory backing and this legal framework to stand on. It's kind of lost its footing. But that's a really interesting case study. I'd love to do a session on that one day.
Yeah, it's giving them some teeth, isn't it? Like it's giving them a stick to go and whack the bad guys with.
Yeah, and now they're just the poster child for it. So, perfect. Well, yeah, final sites. Maybe let's go to the next topic, but this can continue in the events chat if anyone has more to contribute this, more thoughts. But yeah, Warren, what's next?
We're talking about video games. Because
not my world. Not my forte.
I mean, okay, so like that's also a little bit of a thing too, is like they've done studies in the past of saying like, oh, X percentage of the population are video gamers, right? But it's also like a very kind of vague thing about like what actually counts as a game, because you have people sitting down for like multiple hour sessions in like some AAA blockbuster title like Cyberpunk, which you need like basically a spaceship to run on your computer, right? And that like that's the farthest side of it, but the easiest side is like, I don't know, I'm playing Angry Birds on my phone or something like that. There's both sides of the spectrum, right? And basically this article that I just posted in event chat were basically saying that these big developers, like we're not saying like big Web3 developers, but typically Web2 ones, the ones that are basically the blockbuster of video games, they're like, we're going to edge back a little bit on play to earn, right? Of course, everyone's known a lot about play to earn with, the massive success that was Axie. But since then, with the crash of some of these markets, is like emphasis on play to earn has edged back a little bit. And the general statement that a lot of people have been echoing for a bit has come out saying that basically, if the primary purpose of these play to earn models was the play component of these things being entertainment, they have kind of failed because they're not very entertaining.
But this is something that I'm not sure if you know about, but it's been a thing on my mind for a while. So you get all those terrible adverts for like iOS games and all that sort of thing. The play to earn,
like the zombie ones.
Yeah. The play to earn model was actually nicked from them. And it's because a lot of these apps on like the App Store and the Google Play Store, there's loads of articles about this and like apps being taken down, and it's a very commonly used practice. You'll download them, you'll play them, and even if you've got like the latest smartphone, like they're usually going to be quite slow on your device. You just never really understand it's going to overheat your device. They were using your excess resources to mine cryptocurrency without telling you.
Wait, what?
So those naff iOS games that you get like children to download, those terrible adverts that just trick you into doing that, basically just trick toddlers into doing it, have been mining cryptocurrency on using like excess resources, which is why they're always so minimalist, is because they're trying to use as few resources as possible so they save as many for the mining. And their key model, besides obviously pop-up ads for monetization, has been mining cryptocurrency and then sending it off.
Wow.
Yeah. So pay to earn was actually basically a model that was pinched from essentially malware. And now that we're moving away from like proof of work and everything, like hopefully it means that the apps on the App Store are going to get better and your ads on YouTube are going to get a little bit more bearable. But it's been a very common issue for app development for a long time now. It's just one of those hidden little markets.
So what you're telling me, if I'm going to be playing mobile games, is only play the ones that look graphically like they would already blow up my phone, so there's no room for malicious mining on them.
I mean, stuff like Angry Birds and all sort of, like, obviously you're fine with that, but when you have stuff like what's it called? The Candy Crush. They're basically the same as Candy Crush. That's it, like Puzzle Mansion. That's the one that I keep seeing, and all that sort of stuff. I think Hustle Kingdom was another one that was hooked up in all of this, like this nightmare zone.
Oh, good lord, that is a name right there. Hustle Kingdom.
Yeah, there you go. It's just, oh, it's hilarious. I've been following these stories for a very long time, and yeah, Christine, like, it is absolutely bananas. There's so many apps that are doing this, and it's why you get loads of people who have basically just done these Unity asset games that look like they could be nothing more than like a tutorial on how to create a game. So yeah, there's a fun little fact about play to earn.
Yeah,
They
that is like, my mind is actually blown on that. I never would have thought it, because the thing is, like, I always question, it's like, why do so many of these mobile games look so crappy?
Yeah, it's a strategy. It's a strategy they use, and it started off with like obviously like pop up ad games were just the way of making money. Like you remember Flappy Bird,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
and like how much money he made, even though he took it off the App Store.
yeah, yeah.
How was he?
Hey,
And,
Final Sites, question for you. So in the article that you sent, you're noting that they're giving up on at least like the play to earn model. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like I thought that was one of the biggest components that gave rise to crypto and crypto trading in the first place years ago. Is like people were earning some levels of alt currencies, like cryptocurrencies and stuff, just from playing. The article you're posting is actually nodding that people are saying it's kind of creating a shittier environment, within those games, the haves versus have-not. It's just, what are your kind of views as how does this play into the crypto markets?
So that's a yes and a no on that, right? So it's the people that are saying no on the part are development studios that are refusing to say, is like openly say, hey, we're working on a Web3 game that uses NFTs in it, right? Like one of the games that I play, Final Fantasy Online, like arguably pretty much the metaverse right now, but people were grilling them a few months back. It's like, are you going to do NFTs? If you're going to do NFTs, then we're going to quit your game. And by general, like, there's a very large vocal portion of the gaming community that does not like NFTs because in essence that it's very similar to the idea of pay to win, right? They don't really like the idea that some sort of commerce component could have an edge in a competitive setting or something like that, right? Well, on the flip side of that, in the mobile gaming space, especially in like China, Japan, Southeast Asia, and all that, people are completely used to spending ludicrous amounts of money in mobile games or PC games to offset the time that they have to play these things. They still enjoy playing games, but it's like, hey, I don't have the time to grind out X amount of levels or get this whatever item. So instead, I'm going to basically use a tollway to get there. In the end, whenever I do end up playing, I'm playing how I want to, but I'm using money to offset my time. So there's two very different things. At least in the U.S., people are very much so against this quote unquote pay to win model, and they see NFTs as that in a way. But as a person who's like kind of indulged in both, right? Like I've done like pay to win games. I've also done like classic like normal market model games. There is room for both, but having digital assets that can be resold at least guarantees me to the fact that there's some value on the table later. It's like there are people that also argue to the point that what I buy in a game should just be I'm paying for the experience at the moment rather than it's an investment. I should be able to resell this later. It's like not always people looking for a flip or something, right? Yeah. Yihao here's mentioning Genshin. I'm pretty sure I dumped a good $2,000 on that game for like a C2 something Klee.
Christ.
I do not regret it. Klee is adorable and blows houses up.
Oh Christ! It's wild though. Like these like video game economies have even been a thing for yonks. Like even going back to like CS:GO, and there's times like Warcraft.
Yeah,
that.
knives and skins and stuff like that. It has been a thing forever. And
fucking RuneScape.
Yeah. What was it? Paper hats or something in RuneScape. Like gamers are not alien to this idea of a digital asset being worth something because it's rare. Like. Yeah. People want things, and ideally, whenever someone wants something, they'll want to find a method to get it from someone else, and how we bridge that value in between is a currency of some sort. Lots of good comments in event chat here.
Yeah.
Even more disheartening given the way that some countries and communities have integrated these games into economic. Oh yes, that is a big one because I remember initially when Axie Infinity came out, there was the whole thing about scholars and everything else, talking about like, um, basically people would buy assets and then rent them out to lower income people or like people that you know were in countries where the minimum wage wasn't that high, right? And they would call these
Oh
people
yeah.
scholars and they would play the game on their behalf, and the owner of said NFTs, they would reap like an X percentage while the person who was basically playing the game get an X amount too, right? And basically the first time I heard about this is like, isn't that basically sharecropping?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's that breaks a lot of laws in the UK. It's,
Yeah, I mean, like at first I looked at it, it's like I understand you're giving someone the opportunity to do this, but the whole, at least my idea, of what play to earn should be is you should want to play, and then you get some bonuses on there for playing. You know, that might flip. It's like if I play CS:GO for an X amount of time, I could get a box, I could open the box, and then maybe I get a rare knife, and I can sell the knife. That's fine. But I was playing CS:GO to enjoy CS:GO. I was never playing CS:GO for the knives.
mm, yeah.
Yeah. Or like, yeah, NFT reveal season, that's basically gotcha mechanics, you know, because every single mobile game that's like has made multiple billions of dollars, and yes, there are multiple mobile games that have made billions of dollars in like relatively short amount of time. Um,
Hmm.
they all use this loot box mechanic in a way, right? Where you cannot see what you're gonna get, and then you crack one open, then you're gonna get something. It's the same kind of like psychological hook that you get from buying an unrevealed NFT. You don't know what you get, but somewhere in the back of your head, you're thinking, "What if I bought a rare and I don't know?"
Yeah, there you go. That's the thing. It's like one of the things I do. Like I play poker, but like studying like the stats of it. But no matter how much you try and remove your emotion from that thing, you sit at that table, and as like the turn comes down and the river comes down, or you see a flop, and you're like, oh, I got it. Oh, I didn't get it. Oh, maybe I'll get it next
Oh, that
time. Like
mental
it's
fallacy, the
yeah,
setup, the
it's all
little emotional
gambling. Like
triggers.
yeah,
That's all by design, guys, right? Yeah, like
yeah,
we can all be aware that didn't happen by accident.
Oh, of course not.
Yarn to Love, I see you on here, and she always highlights to me like the Robinhood app when you are making a trade or you're looking at just by doing the trade, whether it was a shitty one or a good
Oh
one.
yeah, that
It's
little pop of
confetti.
confetti that
Yeah,
comes up to confirm
I
your
need to
stuff.
congratulate your action step. Like it's positive reward loops, whether it was good or bad. So like this is it's psychology, and they're bringing in
yeah.
experts to design these things.
It's like
Welcome to
congratulations.
the dopamine drip feed machine.
You just put your life
Hell.
savings into a completely out of the money option that expires at the end of today. Woohoo!
Perfect. Well, final say still like just watching the top of the hour here, or just watching our time. Maybe we move to just the last topic, and then we look to wrap up. Unless anyone has any other items that they want to chat through.
Actually, for the last thing
Sure.
today, I was hoping. Ash, can I let it out of the box about what we're planning today for the people that are actually in here? Can I?
You bet. All you.
Okay, okay. So here's the thing, right? What I'm gonna do right now for everybody in here, if you have not caught, stay in here for a second. I'm gonna take a screenshot. This is important to me. This should be probably important to you, but we're gonna be using this a little bit for giveaways a little bit later. So if you don't have an allow list yet, you probably have one now just by being in here. So that's a good thing. Number two being is that on the side of a little bit of alpha for what's coming. So we've actually penned down our first partner giveaway. So this is not, where we're giving away our own stuff, but we're working with a project. You'll find out about it like a little bit later today, but we're pretty excited about what they're doing. So if you want a chance to get their whitelist, that's going to be up today. And also too is if you're in here and you already have the gifted role, we're starting this pseudo kind of like a karma campaign, right? So what the gifted, if you have our allow list role right now, you'll be able to see a new channel with like details on what it is. But basically, what it allows you to do is you can nominate someone else that does not have an allow list spot yet to get one. Like basically use it as a form to say, hey, I appreciate you, I appreciate what you're doing, so let's enjoy this thing together, right? That's basically what's going to be. So whether they be someone you know in our community right now that has not received one, or if you have a friend from real life or another like person in the alpha group that you vibe with, then you can totally nominate them for it however you want to. But that's going to go live a little bit later today, and spread some love around here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, bit of pay it forward. So thank you to all of you who've been here since the beginning. It's still early days. Lots of really exciting things to come. You're seeing some of the trickling of some of our partner announcements, strategic advisor announcements, and so yeah, want to give you all the opportunity to pay it forward. So awesome discussion today. These are reoccurring every Tuesday at the same time. Please do not hesitate to reach out to Tilly Billy or Final Sites for topics, things that we want to discuss. This is again a forum, so looking for lots of contributions, comments, thoughts. Again, nonverbal. Please feel free to park them. Some of our event chats or DM Tilly Billy and Final Sites directly, just on some items that we want to hit on. Other than that, any closing thoughts, guys, or wishing everybody a really good day?
Yeah, I mean, all our bread and butter comes from our space that's inside of the Connect category. So if you find anything you think is interesting, just throw it up on there. That's how we get the content for these shows. That's where we find out like what everyone should be like talking about. So would love to see what y'all are interested in.
Yeah, and beyond that, guys, have a great rest of your week. For you guys who are going back to school or university, or you've just been at work the whole time anyway. Yeah, and for any of my fellow Brits out there, rest in peace, Her Majesty.
Yeah. Have a good one, y'all. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Bye.